T.I.'s son, King Harris, has been arrested after not appearing in court and some other things connected to his act.
And to coddle him for. Let the man walk out, have some time to himself, sit down, soak it up, and come up with what he need to do.
King Harris, just 21 years old, the son of Atlanta legends T.I. and Tiny Harris, is now fighting for his life after what insiders are calling a planned hit, not some random fight. Reports from inside the Georgia facility are bone-chilling. This wasn't a brawl gone wrong. It was an ambush meant to leave no witnesses. According to leaked medical files, King's skull was cracked open by what doctors describe as a lock-in-sock, a padlock wrapped in cloth and swung like a weapon. The blows shattered multiple bones in his face, leaving him unconscious before guards even made it to the scene. Imagine that, a young man beaten so brutally that even the doctors were shocked by the extent of his injuries.
Being arrested isn't really like the shocker, it's him coming out and his, I guess, reaction to it, right? Because everybody's saying, King, you grew up privileged, bro. Why are you going down this path? Now he's talking about F the police, F12. So, you know, he just don't care.
And here's where it gets darker. Way darker. Every single security camera watching that cell block mysteriously went offline minutes before the attack. No footage, no sound, no witnesses, just silence and blood on the floor. How does that even happen in a monitored facility? King wasn't some hardened criminal or gang leader, far from it. He was only serving a short sentence after a DUI arrest back in September 2024 and missing a court date. His case was barely even serious, until suddenly it turned into a nightmare. The timing? Beyond suspicious.
Been able to do that if it wasn't for Family Hustle.
Right.
And it does come with some, you know, it's some adversity. It's some adversity to come with that. People get in your business.
Only a few weeks earlier, King had welcomed his first child, a beautiful baby boy, with his parents proudly posting about it online. His family was celebrating new life and new beginnings, and then, days later, he's clinging to life in a hospital, surrounded by guards and machines. The contrast is almost unbearable. Just weeks ago, King Harris was a proud new dad, smiling in photos with his baby boy, and now, he's barely clinging to life.
It opened up the door to my bedroom, as you shouldn't have to either. Open up the door to my bedroom for everybody to come in, chime in, and make their opinions about what we do and don't do or should or shouldn't do. But I will say this, whatever we ever have done, has been done with consensual.
We checked county records, and sure enough, his incarceration began quietly, without any press or drama. But insiders from inside that Georgia facility are saying something that changes everything. They claim King had been talking too much about what he saw behind those walls, and that might have made him a target. According to sources close to the situation, King wasn't the type to stay quiet. They describe him as bold, outspoken, and unwilling to play along with the corruption he allegedly witnessed. One insider said King was calling out guards for smuggling contraband and letting inmates extort others under their watch. Another even claimed he was preparing to reach out to his lawyer to officially report it. But here's the thing. Did that information land in the wrong hands before he got the chance?
Graduated. That's the only good thing they posted of me going viral. I'm not on the media's good side. I don't know why, but it ain't.
That's the question splitting investigators right down the middle. Was this a brutal message to silence him before he could expose something deeper? Or was it a warning meant for someone else? Maybe even higher up in the system? Either way, this was no random act of violence, and the timing couldn't be worse for the Harris family. T.I. and Tiny are already caught up in renewed public attention over their own legal drama. Remember that defamation battle with influencer Sabrina Peterson? Well, it's back in the spotlight again. Even though her 2021 lawsuit got dismissed, she recently tried to revive it, dragging up old accusations that the couple has fiercely denied. Peterson's post, where she promised to drop receipts, reignited online debates about T.I. and Tiny's past. And when news broke about King's attack, the internet went wild.
How do you feel with, because now that the evolved T.I. is also the even more of a father T.I., because not only are you just a father, you have to be a father in the industry, because all your kids are in the industry.
Man, damn. Yeah, that's I ain't see that.
Social media detectives started connecting dots that may or may not exist, suggesting the violence wasn't just about prison politics, but something way bigger tied to the Harris name. There's still no solid proof connecting the dots, but the whispers are turning into full-blown conversations. People are starting to believe something bigger is going on. The prison's so-called explanation for the missing footage only made the situation even more suspicious. Officials are claiming it was all because of a power relay error. But come on, even former correctional officers are calling that out as nearly impossible. They say for every camera in that block to go dark at once, someone would have had to manually kill the feed. And the timing? It's chilling.
Fretting it and trying to take shit I done did and be like, nah, it ain't good. Like, you can't do that. You can't do that. That's like.
The blackout started exactly 6 minutes before the attack, and somehow everything magically came back online 5 minutes after medics arrived on scene. In a facility that's supposed to be under constant surveillance, that kind of convenient malfunction doesn't just happen. It feels like it was engineered. Even state investigators are quietly admitting that this so-called power failure raises major red flags.
Royalty accused of drugging and sexually assaulting women.
Rapper, actor, and businessman Clifford T.I. Harris, along with his wife, Tamika Tiny Cottle, they're being named in a massive...
Then there's the weapon. The medical report leaves zero room for doubt. This wasn't some impulsive fight gone wrong. The lock and stock used on King was made ahead of time, hidden carefully, and swung with deadly accuracy. That's not self-defense. That's a setup. It's now the strongest piece of evidence behind the theory that this was a premeditated hit. And yet, no one's officially talking. Some inmates say they heard an argument earlier that day, but not one of them has stepped forward. Why? Because according to one insider, people vanished for less in that place. That same source claims a few guards were quietly reassigned right after the attack, a move they believe was the prison's way of cleaning house without drawing attention.
I really admire his dedication and commitment to the craft, because, I kind of told him, what was wrong about it.
Meanwhile, public sympathy for King has exploded. Outside that hospital, the scene has turned into something powerful. Hundreds of fans gathering with candles, chanting King's name, demanding answers and justice. The air feels thick with emotion, hope, and anger all at once. T.I. has kept his public comments short, saying he wants truth more than vengeance. But anyone who knows T.I. knows that silence doesn't mean peace. Tiny, clearly shaken, posted an emotional message online asking everyone to keep praying for her son.
Put it for your kids in your eyes.
What does success look like for my kids and my doing what they love and earning a living. Like being able to take care of themselves, doing the things that they love, the things that fulfill their passion. You know what I mean? Allowing them to follow their dreams and just create.
But behind those calm words, insiders say the Harris household is in total turmoil, scared, confused, and starting to suspect that this wasn't just a random attack. Some people close to the family believe this assault was payback, retaliation for the things King allegedly started talking about from behind those prison walls. He was reportedly exposing corruption inside the facility, and that might have painted a target on his back. Others, though, are whispering about something even darker. That maybe this wasn't just about King at all. That maybe someone wanted to send his father a message. After all, T.I.'s name carries weight in Atlanta. And so do his enemies, both in the industry and beyond.
Seda reached out to me looking to make a deal on behalf of T.I. and Tiny. And I told Steve Seda that my clients want justice. So if the deal involves Tiny and T.I. turning themselves in and admitting to the crime that they've committed, then fine, we got a deal. But if it does not, then I would prefer to have the investigators do their work and to bring criminal charges against Tiny and T.I.
What makes it even more tragic is how King was trying to turn his life around before all this went down. On August 21st, 2024, he appeared on Regina Carter's podcast talking about fatherhood, music, and redemption. He said he wanted to be bigger than Michael Jackson, full of confidence and big dreams. Hearing those words now hits different. They sound almost haunting, like a prophecy cut short.
You should be rapping about the things in your life that you have in common with other people who may not live.
Less than a month later, police in Dunwoody picked him up on an old warrant and transferred him to Pickens County, the same facility where everything spiraled out of control. Now, people are starting to question whether that arrest and everything that followed were just coincidence, or if someone planned to break his spirit right when he was rising. Sources close to the investigation are painting two very different pictures, and both sound dangerous. Some insiders claim King had a few guards quietly looking out for him, almost like silent protection until he started speaking up about what he'd seen behind those prison walls. Once he opened his mouth, that safety net supposedly disappeared overnight. Others insist the attack came from inmates connected to powerful people outside. Groups that saw King as leverage, a way to pressure his father during a tense legal period. Nobody can prove any of it yet, but every unanswered question just makes this story feel darker and more deliberate. Even the family's moments of happiness are now being dragged into the chaos. Back in August, T.I. and Tiny were celebrating 15 years of marriage, posting videos from Thailand, smiling, talking about how love conquers everything. But within weeks, that dream trip turned into a nightmare of crisis management. Now, their followers are dissecting every single post, every caption, looking for hidden messages like detectives. Some fans even believe Tiny's emotional post about love winning through tough times wasn't just romantic. They say it was a quiet cry for help, a coded warning that something was already wrong behind the scenes. And honestly, that theory doesn't sound so far-fetched when you look at the family's history. The Harrises have been through plenty, lawsuits, public accusations, and endless drama online, but this hits different. This isn't just rumors or tabloids trying to stir the pot. This time, there's blood, broken bones, and an investigation that's moving way too slow. The violence is real, the injuries are visible, and the silence from officials feels almost intentional. So far, investigators haven't released a single report explaining those malfunctioning cameras. They keep promising an internal review, but no one's holding their breath. Behind closed doors, the Harris family is reportedly stepping up. hiring private security, contacting lawyers, and preparing to go after the facility with everything they've got. The internet has exploded over King Harris's case. It's no longer just a news story, it's a full-blown cultural firestorm. Online, people are divided into two camps, and both are loud. Some defend the Harris family, saying they've been targeted for years because of their fame and old controversies. Others swear the silence, the missing footage, and the malfunctions all point to something way more powerful pulling strings behind the scenes. Every unanswered question seems to spark another conspiracy, and each theory just makes the last one sound more believable. The idea of a planned hit might sound extreme, but what else are people supposed to think when every official explanation feels fake or incomplete? The longer the authorities stay quiet, the louder the rumors grow. Inside the hospital, King's fight for his life continues, and every new detail makes this story harder to stomach. Sources say doctors had to perform emergency surgery to relieve pressure on his brain, and while his pulse has stabilized, he's still unresponsive. One doctor even described the injuries as looking like repeated blows while restrained. If that's true, this wasn't a brawl. It was a punishment, maybe even an execution-style beating. And without camera footage, proving it becomes almost impossible. Whispers are spreading that some staff members have quietly been put on administrative leave, but officials won't release any names, hiding behind privacy laws. Insiders, though, claim that list includes both guards and supervisors, which only makes people more suspicious. That quiet reshuffling looks less like procedure and more like damage control. Even veteran correctional officers, people who've seen it all, are calling this a disgrace, a stain on the department's name. What's clear is that this isn't just about one young man anymore. King Harris has become a symbol of celebrity power, of systemic failure, and of a family crushed under the weight of secrets that just keep getting darker. You can feel the tension in every statement, every so-called press conference where officials promise full transparency, but never actually say anything. The Harris family, once celebrated for their fame, their flashy lifestyle, and that hit reality show, is now trapped in a reality no camera crew would ever want to film. The pressure keeps building, and with each day that passes, the questions just keep multiplying. Who gave the order for guards to stand down? Why did the power relay fail only on King's wing? And why was a young man with no violent record placed in a block full of known gang members? These aren't coincidences. They're red flags lined up in a row, forming a pattern that screams intent. Something about this whole situation feels planned, like someone wanted King in the exact position to be hurt, or worse. A former associate of the Harris family even told us King was loud about things he shouldn't have been. He didn't understand that some secrets keep people safe. That quote has been echoing across social media, sparking even more fear and suspicion. If that's true, then this wasn't just about silencing King. It might have been a message to his parents, or to anyone else thinking about exposing the wrong people. And as officials argue over missing footage and fans keep gathering outside the hospital with candles and signs, the truth remains buried under silence. The state keeps saying the investigation is ongoing, but every new delay just makes it look worse. At this point, one thing feels undeniable. King Harris wasn't just attacked, he was silenced. But by who? And why now, right when his life was starting to change for the better? It's becoming clear that this tragedy goes way beyond one brutal night behind bars. What happened to King Harris feels like the newest chapter in a long, twisted saga that's haunted the Harris family for years. Every headline, every accusation, every messy courtroom moment has built a storm around their name. And now that storm is spinning right back into full force. With King lying in critical condition and no real answers in sight, the shadows around this family are rising again. T.I. has never been a stranger to controversy. His life has played out in the spotlight from the very start. We remember the early days, the weapons charges that nearly ended his career, the reality shows that tried to clean up his image, and all those interviews where he proudly called himself the King of the South. But for all his success, the biggest blow didn't come from the music scene. It came from the courtroom. Back in 2021, businesswoman Sabrina Peterson made explosive accusations against T.I. and Tiny. Claims that shocked the industry. She accused them of terrifying misconduct and even alleged that T.I. once pointed a gun at her during an argument. That lawsuit for defamation became a full-blown media circus, with Peterson painting a disturbing picture of manipulation and control, while the Harrises fought back, calling every word a lie. When the judge eventually dismissed Peterson's case, T.I. celebrated, saying it was vindication. But anyone who's been around long enough knows, those kinds of allegations never really disappear. They stick, they whisper, they linger in the corners of conversation. And now, as King's situation dominates headlines, those same old accusations are resurfacing once again. By 2024, everything had gone toxic. Like the tension was just waiting to explode. Sabrina Peterson had already lost her appeal to bring her lawsuit back, but instead of backing down, she went online and promised revenge. She claimed she had receipts, and even said federal agencies were already reviewing what she called evidence. That timing now feels downright eerie, because while all that online drama was heating up, King Harris was already locked away in a county facility, just weeks from the night that nearly ended his life. And now people are asking a chilling question: if the legal system couldn't take T.I. down, did someone decide to send a message through his son instead? It sounds wild, but In the world of celebrity grudges, quiet power, and long memories, it's not unthinkable. The Harrises have faced accusations stretching coast to coast, from Atlanta to LA, surviving scandals, beating lawsuits, and rebuilding their image again and again. But every battle leaves scars and enemies. From former friends who turned bitter to industry players who felt betrayed, T.I. and Tiny have a long list of people who'd love to see them fall. And just as T.I. was gearing up to release what he called his final album, titled The King, life threw him the darkest twist yet. His real-life heir, his son, viciously attacked inside a supposedly secure facility. That timing feels like more than coincidence. It feels symbolic. Like someone wanted to turn that album title into a warning, a cruel play on words aimed straight at a man who once crowned himself royalty. Was this just fate playing a twisted joke? Or a message delivered loud and clear to the self-proclaimed king of the South? When you look at the timing, it's almost chilling. T.I. had just started doing interviews to promote his new album. The one where he said he was shedding the ego and officially closing the King era for good. He talked about growth, peace, and moving past old drama. But within days, his real-life king, his son, was fighting for his life in a hospital bed. That's not just eerie. It's haunting. People close to the Harris family are convinced this wasn't some tragic coincidence. They believe it was a message. Insiders claim that certain powerful figures tied to past scandals wanted to remind T.I. that his fame and fortune don't make him untouchable. Others whisper that people inside the facility might have been paid off to make sure the cameras went dark and the truth could be rewritten however officials wanted. And the prison silence? It's only making things look worse. Every time reporters request access to the footage, they get the same robotic excuse. Technical malfunction. Yet, no one can explain how a supposedly advanced surveillance system that tracks every movement inside could suddenly fail across multiple units at the exact same time. The warden keeps blaming a power relay issue, but engineers who've worked on systems like that say it's basically impossible without someone manually triggering it. One former corrections officer said it flat out, "That doesn't happen by accident. Somebody cut that feed." If that's true, it means someone inside had both the access and the reason to make sure the world never sees what really went down that night. And we've seen this kind of pattern before, especially in high-profile cases where evidence mysteriously vanishes, paperwork suddenly gets lost, and official stories keep changing day by day. The official story around King Harris's attack has already changed 3 times in just 48 hours, and that alone says a lot. First, they said it was a fight between inmates. Then, they switched it up and claimed it was about contraband. Now suddenly, it's an ongoing investigation. Every new version sounds less like clarification and more like damage control. At this point, the Harris family's belief in a cover-up doesn't sound paranoid. It sounds like pure survival instinct. While officials keep hiding behind carefully worded statements and policy protocols, the Harris family is moving in silence but striking with purpose. Insiders say Tiny has already hired a team of private investigators to break down that night minute by minute. She wants every call, every movement, every missing camera frame accounted for. Meanwhile, T.I. is said to be bringing in top-tier attorneys, the kind who specialize in corruption cases and government misconduct. They're not just looking for the person who threw the punches. They want the whole chain of command that let it happen. You can practically feel the tension rising. A father known for his defiance going head-to-head with a system that might have turned off its own cameras to protect itself. It's like a real-life showdown between fame, power, and institutional silence. And here's what hits hardest. This tragedy is bleeding straight into T.Y.'s legacy. Years ago, he told interviewers that calling himself the King of the South painted a target on his back. Now, that line feels almost prophetic. In the music world, being at the top always comes with enemies, and the Harrises have collected plenty. From critics to ex-associates still holding grudges, even after their recent legal win, the cloud of old accusations still hovers online, mixing rumor, revenge, and a growing fear that this family might be fighting a war much bigger than the one the public can see. Now the battle lines are clear. The Harris family isn't backing down, and the system seems just as determined to keep them quiet. Behind closed doors, lawyers are trading letters, investigators are hitting dead ends, and the media's desperate for a statement that never comes. It's like everyone's waiting for the next move, because whatever happens next could shake Atlanta's entire power circle. According to sources close to the investigation, T.I. has already made a few quiet phone calls to people he once trusted. People who know how the industry really works when things get dangerous. The word is, he's trying to trace the money, follow the favors, and see who might have had a reason to set this up. Tiny, on the other hand, has been seen at the hospital nearly every day, barely leaving King's side. Insiders say she's praying nonstop, but also keeping notes, dates, names, comments, everything. She's building her own timeline piece by piece. Meanwhile, whispers are spreading that one of the suspended guards has already hired legal representation, which usually means someone's feeling cornered. Rumor has it that this person might have already spoken to internal investigators, dropping names and hinting that higher-ups told them to look away that night. If that's true, this could be the break that blows the whole case wide open. And while officials continue to insist it was an isolated incident, that explanation isn't convincing anyone anymore. Online, fans are calling it out as a full-scale cover-up, and even other celebrities are starting to post messages demanding justice for King Harris. The energy is changing. People are no longer just watching, they're getting involved, organizing, speaking out. The attack on King Harris might not have been just about punishment, it could have been about power, about perception. A brutal reminder to everyone watching that the Harris family, their fame, and their empire are not untouchable. And what's truly unsettling is how fast the system seems ready to move on. Like it never happened. No press conference from the facility, no official updates from investigators, no mention of when, or even if, that missing footage will ever resurface. Each day of silence just fuels the sense that this goes deeper than anyone wants to admit. Deeper than one family, one prison, or one violent night. If T.I. and Tiny's suspicions are right, this cover-up isn't just about saving reputations, it's about protecting names powerful enough to stay hidden. And that's what makes this story hit so hard. The image of T.I. standing outside that hospital, waiting for word that his son will open his eyes again. Knowing that every unanswered question is dragging the past right back into the present. This wasn't just an assault, it was a message carved straight into the Harris legacy. A chilling reminder that fame can't erase the debts or dangers that come with it. But here's the question that keeps everyone up at night. If this was retaliation for something buried in the past, how far will it go? And if the truth about that night ever comes out, could it expose things the public isn't ready to face? We want to hear what you think. Was King Harris just the victim of a system failure gone wrong? Or was he targeted in a message meant to break his father? Drop your thoughts in the comments, share your theories, and let's talk about it. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this video. It helps me a lot. Until next time, take care of each other, stay curious, and remember, in Hollywood, the truth never stays buried for long.